Hello friends and welcome back. My name is Chris, aka the IT guy, and in today's video I'm going to show you how to make Angular localization or on how to support multi-languages on your website. This is a cool feature that you can add on your website to allow people to choose the language that they want to use, and it can facilitate their work and it increases the user experience. Before we proceed to anything, I'm going to show you what you're going to achieve so far. As you are looking on here, you can see that I'm having this simple web page with this navigation menu, the language toggle on where you can choose the language and the information in this card. And there's nothing fancy here, but you can go ahead and implement the same logic that we're going to be using on this, and it can work real fine. So I'm going to choose from English to French. You can see that the page will be translated from English to French, and when I go from French to Spanish, you can see that it will do the same to make the translations, and all of this to do it without page load, and you can implement the same so as to be able to translate on the fly. Enough of talking, that was it for the demonstration. Let's go ahead straight to the point. I'm going to close this web browser, and I'm going to go to this link folder. This is now the boilerplate that I'm going to provide you, and again I will provide all the source codes of this project on the GitHub for free. You can go ahead and download or clone the repository, and then you can implement the same logic in your project. And don't forget to follow me on GitHub and leave a star to this project. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and open CMD in here so as to be able to access this path, and I'm going to open the VS Code in here too. So I'm going to do like this one, and to open the VS Code with the demonstration files. So I'm going to show you what you're going to start with in this boilerplate. But before we do anything, I'm going to go ahead and start the server with ng-serve, and we have to start the server so as to be able to see what you're going to start with. So we have to give it a go, and you can see that the port was already in use. I'm going to cancel this one, and I'm going to press it's going to use a different port. There's no problem to that, so I have to wait. And once this is complete loading, I'm going to copy this one. You may be having different port, and it's no problem, it can work fine. So I'm going to paste it here, and this is now the starting project that we'll be having, and you can see that it is pretty much the same like the one that I was showing you the demonstration on. But when you choose from this one, there's nothing that will happen, and we're going to implement that ourselves. And when you go to the project, you can see that I'm having those two components. I'm having this navbar and the card and all the things here. You can see that there is no surprises, nothing fancy here. You can see that this is now simple HTML components that I input in here. I'm going to go ahead and close this one so as to have a clean workspace, and you will bring only the thing that we're going to use in this project. The first thing that we're going to do on the navigation bar, I'm going to open the navbar components HTML, and what we're going to do, we're going to implement the change, and we're going to bind the function that will be called whenever we change the select menu. And to do that, I'm going to add this change, and I'm going to say that on change we have to implement this function that we're going to implement, and I'm going to call this change length like this one, and I'm going to pass in the event like this one. Okay, like this one. As for now, you can see that it is showing me this already underlined, and the reason it is showing that is because we didn't implement this change length function, and you're going to do that in a moment. So on your navbar .component.ts or the TypeScript, you're going to go ahead and do the function in here, the change length function that will be called whenever we change there, and it will be executed. So inside in here, I'm going to go ahead and implement that function. I'm going to call this as change length like this one, and it will be type of any. I'm going to pass in the length, and it will be of any type. And inside here, I'm going to store the selected language in a specific variable, and I'm going to call this as selected language. So I'm going to say const selected language, and it will be equal to, I'm going to use lang.target dot value to access this one. As we were using this event on here, we need to provide this target, and then we have to take the value. After that, we can go ahead and check if now the selected language is catching any of the parameters or the value. So I'm going to go ahead and write the selected language like this one. So let me go ahead and try to do like this one. You can see that it was able to pick French, to pick English, and to pick the Spanish. All right, now we are assured that we can change the select menu, and then you can take the language. All right, so after we do that, again, I'm going to store this language into the local storage so as to be able to have the persistence whenever we reload the web page and remain with the same language that we selected or we set. I'm going to call local storage, and I'm going to set item, and I'm going to call this as lang, and I'm going to pass in the selected language. All right, I'm going to do like this one, and after we do that, we can go ahead and check again in the local storage if it is going to catch the language. So I'm going to choose French and go to inspect, and I'm going to go to application and go to local storage, and you can see that the lang and its specific value. And if you try to change to Spanish and go back there, you will see that it will be changed to Spanish. So whenever we go back to application, you can see that it was able to change to Spanish. All right, that is now working as expected. All right, so and I'm going to go back now to the I'm going to go to the navbar component HTML again. Here I'm going to add the selected language in the select menu. So I'm going to go on option here, and I'm going to pass in the selected, and I'm going to say that selected it will be equal to, I'm going to pass in now the lang, and let me use double quotes here to avoid this error, and I'm going to say that the lang it will be, I'm going to pass in the language that is now selected, it should be en, and you can see that the lang here is bringing this underline. We are going to define that in a moment, so I'm going to copy this and paste it here and paste it here too, and I'm going to change the value. Don't forget to change the value, and rest will bring you some of the trouble like this one. Okay, so what this means, means that whenever we are selected French, to associate this with the local storage variable. So we will see that in a moment. And as you're seeing, this lang is not defined, or it is not known here. So I'm going to go back in the navbar components and try to initialize that one in here. So in the navbar component, I'm going to go back here, inside here, and I'm going to say that now I'm going to initialize the lang, and I'm going to give it as an empty string. So I'm going to say, okay, lang to empty string like this one. Okay, and when you take a closer look here, you can see that now it is no longer complaining that it is not defined. All right, after doing that, I'm going to go ahead and initialize the on init, so as to be able to initialize the selected language on initialization. So I'm going to implement on init like this one, and after doing that, also I'm going to make this function of on init, ng on init, it will be like this one, and we are going to set this lang with the value from the local storage. And the way we're going to do that is to say that this lang will be equal to local storage, and we're going to get the item from the local storage, and the item that we're going to be getting is the lang. And you can set also the default value. If it doesn't get the length, we will be considering this as en. All right, fine. And you can see that it is complaining here, so we're going to check why this is complaining. And you can see that now this is complaining. It is because we didn't set this lang, and we will have to set that this will be a string. I think this will fix the issue. It didn't fix the issue. And so let's see, we were doing this like this one. We made a mistake there, but now it is fixed. We implemented this like this one. All right, after we are doing this one, we can go ahead and test if now it worked. I'm going to go ahead and choose language as French and then refresh and go to the local storage and see now if it will be persisting as we refreshed. And let me refresh and go ahead and choose again the English and go back to the local storage application, and when refresh you can see that it was also remaining with English. All right, and after we do this, I'm going to add now the packages that will help us now to make the translation. All right, so the package that I'm going to install, I will leave these commands in the description, and we will install this one and this one, and these are the packages that we are going to use to make those translations, and I will input them in the description. Make sure to check them and use them whenever you need to use them or at the particular moment. I'm going to go on my project and open this terminal. And on the terminal, I'm going to clean it so to have a clean terminal like this one. I'm going to copy this first one to install this ngx translate package. I'm going to paste it here and press enter and give it a go. Wait for a moment for the package to be installed. And after this is done installing, I'm going to also add another package for the HTTP loader, and it will be like a subset of the ngx translate, and we need this one too. I'm going to paste it here and then install it. And after we do this, so let's give it a go. All right, now once that is done, now installing, I'm going to go ahead and close this one, this terminal, to have a clean workspace, and you're going to navigate to the app module file, and it will be here, and it will be in here. And in this app module file, we will go here on the import, and I'm going to add the necessary imports. The first one that we are going to do is now to import the HTTP client module, HTTP client module here. When you press enter, it will import itself here now. And I'm going also to I'm going to start to use the translate module, and I'm going to write translate module like this one and press enter. To will have to input this namespace for you, and I'm going to use the for loop here on the translate module, and I'm going to open this one, and you're going to input some of the required configurations in here, and I'm going to say that the loader will be equal to, I'm going to provide some values in here, and the first value that we're going to use is now the provide, and it is going to be translate loader. Okay, and the second one will be now the use factory, and not use factory. And in this case, I'm going to call the function that we're going to define. Again, I'm going to call it HTTP loader factory. We're going to do that in a moment, don't worry. And we have to perform all these fixes later on. So let's what, and provide translate loader for loot, and here we need to open this again and make sure you close it here. Okay, we're still remaining with this error. We're going to solve it really quick. And at the top here, after now the import, I'm going to go ahead and export a new function, and we export this to be used across all the application, and I'm going to call this HTTP loader factory like this one. And in here, I'm going to pass in the HTTP as the name, and it will be type of HTTP client like this one, and it will import the necessary namespace. And inside here, I'm going to return, and I'm going to return new, and I'm going to return translate HTTP loader like this one, and I'm going to put in HTTP. All right, and then after that we're going to go back and implement all the other things here. I'm going to here, this is user factory, not user factory, and I'm going to put also the depths, and I'm going to use the HTTP client. Okay, all right, that will be for the loader. And then in the providers, you can see that for now it's empty. I'm going to provide now the HTTP client here. Okay, all right, and after we do that, we are going to go back on the app components.ts, and then we have to make some of other configurations too. So it will be here, app component.ts. Okay, and in the app component.ts, we are going to add now the constructor inside here. But before we do that, I'm going to okay, let me use the constructor first of all. So I'm going to add the constructor, and inside the constructor I'm going to make a private translate service, and it will be type of translate service, and the translate service will be from the package that we installed, translate service. And we have to do like this one. If to complain, we will have to make a quick fix, and then we need to import this one, and then now the complaint will be gone. And after we do that, we are going now to set the default language here, and I'm going to use this dot translate service, and I'm going to set default length like this one, and I'm going to say that it will be English or EN. Okay, and here I will be using set default language like this one. Okay, the default language will be now the English. All right, and after doing this, we also need to use the language from the local storage, and I'm going to say this dot translate service, and then I'm going to use, and I'm going to say local storage, and I'm going to get item, and I'm going to say, okay, the item that I'm going to get is now the link. And after this, if it didn't get anything, I'm going to return en as now the default language. All right, that will be it. And after doing that, I'm going to go back to the navbar.component.ts file, and it will be in here, navbar.component.ts file. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to add now a constructor too, and it's not in the spec, it is in the ts. And what I'm going to do is now to add the constructor. So here now, below the link, I'm going to be adding the constructor, and I'm going to do the same. I'm going to do the private translate service. It will be type of translate service. Okay, and I'm going to import this namespace too here, so the errors will be gone. And after we do this, we are going to add now the change language without the page refresh, and I'm going to go and do in this change lang, and I'm going to do here like this one. I'm going to say this dot translate service dot use, and I'm going to use the selected language like this one. All right, after doing this, I'm going to add the translation files, and the translation files will be kept in the folder that we're going to create. For that, I'm going to go in the assets folder in here, and I'm going to create a new folder, and I'm going to call this I18N like this one, and press enter. And I am having these translations on my folder here. I'm going to copy all of this and copy, and I'm going to paste it in here, assets, and this exact folder. Okay, And when you navigate to this one, you will see that there will be the translation JSON. You can go ahead and customize however you need. Make sure that this is a valid JSON file. And after doing that, we can go ahead and replace now the translation files with the specific items or the values from the navbar components and on the CAD component. And the way you are going to do that is to come back here, and on where it is written home, I'm going to bind this one. I'm going to bind the home as from the translation, and then I will have to put in translate. And before we continue, I'll have to go ahead and see if it is working as expected. I'm going to change from English to French. You can see that the home is being replaced from French to Spanish. You can see that it is being replaced, and we're going to do the rest. And I'm going to go back here on about. I'm going to delete all of this and try to bind this, and I'm going to say about and put in the translate. And for the share, I'm going to do the same, share and then translate. Okay, and that was it for the navigation. Let me choose from French to English to Spanish. Good. I'm going to change on the card too. So I'm going to cross this one. I'm going to go on the card and choose this one. And I'm going to choose this as info, and this will be information, and I'm going to pipe again with the translate, the same for name, and then translate. Okay, for the email, I'll do the same, and email, and then translate, and another curly bracket. And on the mobile, and I'm going to say mobile, translate, and also on subscribe, and make sure I press the subscribe button as for now. Okay, subscribe and translate. All right, so I'm going to go back and see what is it now bringing. Can see that it is bringing all this as expected, French, and when you refresh, and French, English, you can see that this is now bringing this as expected, and Spanish. All right, and when you refresh now, the language will still be the one. And the thing that we have to fix for really quick is that whenever we refresh, you can see that it is going to change. So let me see. You see that it is on Spanish on this select, and we're going to change this real quick. And on your files or on files, go to navbar components.html here, and this is now where it is getting errors. You can see that here's going to be ES, like this one. You have to put ES, and then you can go ahead and test again. So whenever I refresh, you can see that it is French. Whenever you refresh, it will be French too. And for English, it will be the same. It will bring the same behavior. And for Spanish, it will be bringing the same behavior. Okay, that's it. That's how you can implement the localization on your Angular apps or your Angular websites. I hope, guys, you find this very interesting and you have fun by doing this one. Let me know in the comments if you met with any errors. And before you leave, don't leave without pressing the like button. And if you are coming on this channel, never forget to subscribe for more content like this one. And remember to check all the resources from the description. I will input these codes on my GitHub, so you can go ahead and clone or download them. And don't leave without leaving the star on my GitHub and leave a follow on GitHub. And that was it for today. I will see you guys in the next one. Peace out.